of guidance for his ethical leadership and adherence to good governance in our country. So just coming back to the conversation, and there are so many hard issues, Chief Justice, that we have tried to, get into. But coming back to the issue of leadership in our country, and very often people will say that there's just a lack of will for people to do the right thing in this country. So when it comes to us electing leaders, what sage words can you give to the South African public in terms of what we ought to be looking for if we want leaders who are going to set us on the correct trajectory as a country?
Well, I don't know if I have any sage words to say, but the little that I can say is this. A lot has to be done to educate the South African public about what it would take and what kind of a leader it would take to take this country where it deserves to be. A lot of information would have to be dug out about everybody desiring to ascend to a high leadership position. Because I don't think it is that difficult to find out who we really are. I mean, look at the kind of historical background that Leanne was sharing with me earlier about my life. So there is abundance of information out there about all the people who are occupying leadership positions. The problem is we've allowed ourselves to be channeled. We are made to focus on certain aspects of information about Mogoeng and others. We sort of discouraged, and we allow ourselves to be defocused from what matters the most. The bottom line is this: no human being is perfect. We all have our mistakes. But let our mistakes be laid bare, let our strengths be laid bare, and before you vote for a person at whatever level, be sure that you know enough about that person. There is one constitutional court judgment where we said people have got to make an informed decision when they vote. Don't just operate like a football team fan. Whether however it performs, it doesn't matter how many times it loses, wafa, you'll keep on supporting this team. It shouldn't be. These are bread and butter issues, life and death. It's not about entertainment.
Chief Justice, I disagree with your analogy. I mean, when it comes to football, it is wafa.
Well, I used to be a fan of a particular team, and incidentally, the Deputy Chief Justice was a fan. We were talking about it last week. He said, "No, I said to him, I've long dropped out of this." He said, "I dropped a month ago. I will never again support this team."
You're a Chiefs fan, no doubt.
I exercise my right to remain silent.
I love this. Can I reel the football conversation
yes,
in? I'm going to reel it in because I know we've only got a few minutes left with you. So today is the eve of an awful blight on South Africa's history. Marikana. 34 lives were lost on this day. And we sit on the 7th now anniversary, which is happening tomorrow. And justice is the word that is still something that many people are seeking for. And when you look at that page in our history, I see you closing your eyes almost at it, because that's how we feel as well, is that it is something that will always be a blight in our history until justice is served on this day. What are your thoughts on Marikana?
Well, my thoughts are, what happened? Why? Could it have been avoided? Why wasn't it avoided? Who was involved? And what did we do to hold them accountable? I mean, I know at least one of the police officers who are on trial. One of the finest policemen this country has ever had. And I don't understand what could have driven him, assuming that he has committed a crime, to have committed a crime and allowed himself to be part of an activity that resulted in the death of people. What drove him to that? And more fundamentally, which goes to what we started off with, have we made it our business to make sure that everybody who was directly or indirectly involved in that tragic event was held accountable properly? Or have we deployed our wisdom to manage the truth in such a way as to shift blame to those who have very little to protect themselves with? If you dissect an incident like Marikana properly, that would provide you with a recipe, for want of a better expression, for the dissection of all fundamental South African problems, and then, and only then, will you find a solution. But if we're going to be, covering our walls with decorative paper, as we appear to be doing, we'll never have the problems of our country solved. We all make mistakes, but we must own up to our mistakes. We mustn't play smart with our mistakes. Then and only then can we have a serious engagement about accountability, about correcting our mistakes, and moving forward. Marikana is a typical example of how we handle South African problems. Many tragic situations that affect the lives of people that are left unattended to because we choose not to attend to them. We choose to be too careful to offend. We choose to mind our own business, even if it means others are to suffer as a result. That's our problem.
We're out of time, but just a final question, Chief Justice. Are we a nation that cares about justice in any sense? Because you have Marikana, you've got the TRC files that are lying somewhere in the NPA offices, have never been attended to, and we can come up with countless examples of where justice has not been served in this country. Do we care about justice as a nation?
I think we are. We are a justice-driven people. Otherwise, people would not have sacrificed their lives the way they did, black and white South Africans, to get us to the foundation that we now have. Because all we have is the foundation on which to build. I think it is the time to mobilize every South African, ensure that they fully understand the challenges that confront us, and make them realize that they too, regardless of their station in life, have a critical role to play, and assure them that the best is just around the corner. This is not the time to give up or to give up on South Africa. Don't be hopeless. The best is around the corner. This is time to sift. Chaff will fall off, pure gold will stay on top, and it is with that pure hold in our hands that we'll march forward.
Beautiful note on which to leave it.
Amazing. Morality, justice, Christian values, and I think just all in all, an individual that I think that we can all look up to, which unfortunately in this day and age, there are sorely few and far between. And we thank you for your time and the work that you do. Congratulations on your award, and thank you for availing yourself to us for all this time. This is an absolute privilege. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. It really is an honor for me to be interviewed by credible, veteran journalists of integrity like the two of you. May you hold on to these high ethical standards and inspire many other young and upcoming journalists.
Thank you.
I think that's the end of the show. Not quite.
We're going to go home now. Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much, Chief Justice Mogoeng Mogoeng, who's been named the latest Guardian of Guidance for his ethical leadership and adherence to good governance.
Finally, we're going to take a break on the program. We'll see you after this. Stay tuned.